taking you on a journey to Alaska. In the year 2022, I traveled to Alaska as a crabber on a crab boat. Woohoo! To start off with, we load the pots in Newport, Oregon, and we leave from there. All right, here we are. We're loading pots for Alaska. Captain's pretty excited, and I gotta get back to work. So here's loading the boat. Each stack of the crab pots has to be exactly perfect. Each pot has to fit exactly perfectly on top of the next one. Because, to quote the captain, if the stacks start rocking, you're screwed. Taking off out of Newport, Oregon, headed for Alaska, the Aleutian Islands. One of the things I love is that when we're coming into a harbor or when we're leaving a harbor, a lot of the times there's kind of bystanders that are watching the fishing vessels come into and out of the harbor. And, you know, they'll throw us a wave or we'll throw them a wave. And it's like, how many professions do you get to work in where people actually wave to you, like strangers, you know, and then you wave back? I always thought that was really cool. We are on day 2 of the trip to Alaska. It's not the best day at sea as far as being calm. So right now we have a westerly wind. We're heading north. We're on the southwestern part of Washington right now, a little bit north of Ocean Shores. We are forecasting about a 2-week journey up to Kodiak, Alaska. I can't wait to show you guys what that looks like. The boat harbor is amazing. You just look around and there's basically just like, I would venture to say hundreds of millions of dollars into fishing vessels that are in the harbor. We've had some pretty big swells or rockers since we've left Newport yesterday, around 3:30 in the afternoon. And the captain was up since 6 a.m. that morning. And he didn't sleep until 4 a.m. this morning. And then the next nap after that was about 5 p.m. to 6:30. So this is a trip where if people do go north to Alaska, I think that's one of the most interesting parts, that the captains, especially the captains that have been doing it a long time, they barely sleep on the way up there. Well, at least that's some of the captains that I know. Pretty excited to get back into the bush of Alaska. There's just nothing like that Alaska backcountry to really let you know that you're out in the middle of nowhere. Definitely there's a tourism industry in Kodiak, and that would be the easiest way to get to Alaska and do some backcountry. Last night, the boat started really rocking and rolling, and you have to be willing to go to sleep in that, to stay asleep. Sometimes I'll wake up to a big wave and you kind of wake up to, you know, like this, and then it'll come back down. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to sleep and hope for the best. I'm gonna take you downstairs so you can have a look at what's going on the back deck right here. So you can tell that's tipped over. There's our lines right there and our buoys. So I'm gonna try to keep up, keep vlogging, not fall over while I'm talking to you. It's day 3. We're at the top northwestern part of Washington, and we're about to head into Canadian waters. What a vessel has to do is call the Canadian Coast Guard on channel 16 or 83. You need to request to transit through Canadian waters. You're also agreeing to complying with all of the rules and regulations for passing through Canada, which one of them, in our case, is not having any buoys in our crab pots. This shows them that we're just transiting through their waters and we're not planning on dumping gear or fishing in their waters illegally. Some other rules and regs include no anchoring or mooring, no travel to shore or any ports while traveling through Canadian waters, and no firearms on board the vessel. These are just a few of the rules and regs we have to watch out for. So right now we're there. He's about to call the Coast Guard and request a transit number, in which case if you are boarded by the Canadian Coast Guard for whatever reason, you have to give them this transit number We're in compliance with the Canadian laws and regulations while we're passing through your waters on our way to Alaska. It's almost go time.
Victoria Coast Guard, vessel Miss Tiffany.
Roger, what is your vessel name?
The vessel name is Miss Tiffany.
Roger, thank you. What's the length and type of your vessel? Roger, what is your port of registry? Roger, and what is your location now? Roger, will you be transiting by the inside passage?
We're gonna transit west of Vancouver Island and then probably Hecate Straits.
Confirm reason for entry is transit only and your gear is stowed properly?
Yeah, that's Roger.
And then after that, it's Vancouver Island. This is day 4 of our long ass journey. And let me tell you, the Vancouver Island is freaking huge. We've had some bumpy weather. This is probably some of the best weather that we've had as far as the swell height. There have been some sleepless nights, and mostly just for me because the captain isn't hardly sleeping at all. As you can see, there's our crab boat right there. Got a bunch of ganyons right here and buoys. Look at all these buoys. It's kind of a crazy experience traveling on a crab boat to Alaska, or I would imagine on a boat in general. So I wanted to share the experience. The drive is great for a lot of things though. Number 1, there's so much great scenery. Number 2, I brought a crap ton of books to read. I'm halfway through this. I actually started it today. Atomic Habits. Tiny changes, remarkable results. It's a lot of time to do kind of nothing. You're just on this boat, and you know, I'd show you guys the captain who's just over there in his chair constantly and vigilantly watching for logs to hang out and be the relief captain. He only takes a couple naps a day, which are usually between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And I feel a little foolish when I don't sleep very well at night, and then I take over in the morning like this morning and I could just like barely keep my eyes open, but I'm trying so hard. And then he gets back up and I'm like, I gotta go to bed. Actually, we just lost cell phone reception today. Verizon will give you talk, text, and data into Canada, but it'll only give you a certain amount of data. And it'll say, but if you want another 0.5 gigabytes, just pay $5. Say speed, 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 speed. I was watching Gordon Ramsay and I just didn't want to stop, damn it. It's 6:53 in the evening, so you can see how light it is out there. And I got a little weather station. Our meals have been pretty simple for the past few days. When it gets rocky and rolly, sometimes the simplest tasks prove to be annoying and challenging. Sometimes I'll chop like a whole onion and then it'll slide across the counter and into the sink, and it's just like, you know, let's just put something in the microwave, shall we? Here you kind of see a time lapse of us getting into Ketchikan. It's a little town in the southeast. It's actually really, really well known in the cruise ship industry. Here we are. It's May 10th at 10:55 a.m. We're arriving Ketchikan, Alaska. Check out those babies right there. Huge monsters, and we're going right between them. We go from being all by ourselves to like 4 cruise ships shows up this morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's an explosion of humans. Ketchikan goes from a sleepy town in the evening to cruisers, mad cruisers, starting at 6 a.m. I mean mad like crazy. Crazy cruisers. Bringing a ton of dollar bills to Ketchikan. Eskimo dolls aplenty. Would anyone like some coyote boots? They're $1,000. Boom, right there. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, thanks. All kinds of smoked salmon. They got smoked beef products. I got some caribou sausage. We got our phone cards from GCI. We're styling. Got Alaska's cell phone service and internet. We asked the lady, where's the best fish and chips in town? And she said the Alaska Fish House. Check it out. Supposedly the best fish and chips in town. And I'm a pretty good connoisseur of fish and chips. Crunch factor's there. See what happens. Halibut's perfectly cooked. Great crunch. I agree. Stop in. It is just gorgeous. The land is so close on either side, and it just kind of really makes you feel like you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. On this evening in particular, it was just a beautiful evening. The water was just super calm and you could just see that beautiful sunset. And it's just one of those evenings where you just want to go out onto the bow and just sit there and just look, because everything is just so beautiful. I love, love, love this area of Chatham Strait. It is just gorgeous. You have the mountains off to the west. Gotta love it here. Here's old cruiser. But we're actually gonna head to Warm Springs Bay, which is a hot springs that's located right in Chatham Strait. You can see the Warm Springs Bay right here. It's just off to the left on Baranof Island. Pit stop along the way. And there's an option of some hot springs that they put in these tubs, and then it has this beautiful view of the bay, right? And then if you do about a quarter of a mile trek inward, hang a left, and then boom, you have a couple of natural pools right here. It goes out, you have this beautiful view of the raging river right there that actually comes from the lake that is just a little bit further up. From Warm Springs Bay, we actually take off up north, up Chatham Strait. First of all, I gotta tell you guys about something funny that happened. It was the year 2021, and there's this boat, and the boat comes on the radio. And he's like, are you guys just traveling through? What's going on? And Captain Chris was like, you know, why is he asking us this? We have our whole deck loaded with crab pots. But he's like, no, we're just passing through. And the guy says, oh yeah, because I was just about to drop my bags. And we're like, yeah, Roger, we're just traveling through. He's gonna set his bags down. He's been fishing here for 4 days. He's got his bags all over this place. In 2021, when we were almost to Elephant Cove, there was a really, really cool thing that we saw. It was a humpback whale, I believe, and it was doing this weird thing with his tail. It kept slapping his tail like this. I'm not sure if he was trying to stun some fish in the area or if it was like, you know, a means of communication or something like, I will turn this ship around if you don't behave yourself and head back to California. No, this boat is actually a National Geographic boat, and I just thought it was so cool to actually be somewhere where they could possibly be filming something for a National Geographic channel. And then we'll go and head northwest up the Gulf of Alaska. Now, as you're going along the Gulf, you're just kind of out there, just seemingly out in the middle of nowhere. So many times I looked out and thought, how many people have been here before me? How many people have lived on this land? Were there tons of different tribes here? What explorers have been here? Because it just looks like there's just so much nothing. So much raw beauty, raw nature out there. You can see some porpoises sometimes popping up to say hello. Mainly, the only other thing that you see are just other boats. We get to see boats on the deadliest catch all the time. Woohoo! Cornelia Marie, got my eye on you. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, they think they're pretty cool, and I'd have to agree with them. They're pretty cool. Latuya Bay is one of the coolest spots along the Gulf of Alaska. It has this really long spit right here that comes out, and you have to be really careful what time of the tide you're actually entering Latuya Bay. I'm gonna make another video specifically on Latuya Bay because there's so much to talk about this bay. There was a mega tsunami that happened like 4 times. That's totally another video, and I'm gonna get there very soon because I want you guys to see how cool it is beyond just these little clips I put right here. All right, this is our maiden voyage. 2 survival suits, a rifle, 2 clam guns. Yeah, I got hit on the head with that thing. Durr. Oh, she works. Whoa, look at that view right there. And we're gonna hope that a brown bear doesn't show up for low tide. I don't want to test out my new gun. And the next stop is Kodiak. There he is! Let's go there! Woohoo! Let's go get him!
Hey, how are you?
Hello! How are you?
Oh my God.
Welcome!
Thank you.
We're so excited for you to be here!
What happened was we just about landed and then they go up.
We saw
It
you.
was like, holy and it was sketchy.
He gets in with an adventure story to tell.
It's the same as last year when we had to turn around.
You know, he just stuck the power to that plane and he just, whoa.
So we're in Kodiak now, we got Garrett. We're about to head out west towards King Cove and the fishing grounds. I have a really cool video for you guys coming up where I'm gonna be talking about the orca whales that we saw. We saw a huge pot of orca whales on the way out there. I'm gonna show a little bit of our boat life. I'm gonna show us arriving in King Cove, setting our pots, and hauling our first crab pot of the 2022 summer season out in the Aleutian Islands. I have so much more to show you guys about Alaska. If you guys watched my previous videos, I also made a mention that I was going to talk about the winter fishing season in Newport, Oregon. I am going to be looping in some of those videos as well. So there's so many cool videos I have to show you guys about crab fishing, and I hope that you guys like watching them as much as I like telling you about them, because it's so cool out there being a crabber on the ocean. I'm actually in Costa Rica right now. I'm constantly working on these crab fishing videos. I have so much material. There's bears feeding on salmon, there's tons of fishing, there's great wildlife that we got to see on a daily basis. I just have so much that I want to show you guys, and I'm really looking forward to putting it all together and answering some of your questions about crab fishing. It seems crazy to me how a little girl that's so small can make millions and millions of eggs, but she can. I'm looking at a goat right now. That's pretty funny. And you guys should check out my little setup here for the camera. This is kind of funny, check it out. It's an empty pool. Oh my gosh. Wanted to give you guys a nice background though, you know? So let me know what you think about today's video. I really thank you guys for watching and checking it out. I look forward to seeing you soon.